Why don't we just preface this a little bit for the people who maybe not be aware of what's kind of going on in the TikTok scene right now. So Urban Fight Night, which is this organization that is well known for putting together amateur and pro fighters and providing almost a springboard for Australian talent to get into the next levels of their MMA career. It's a great way of getting exposure. It's a great way of getting heaps of fights and cage time, and it's been very fundamental for Sydney fighters to have a platform like Urban Fight Night to be able to do so. And what we've seen recently is that they've pivoted towards including entertainers, which is where you step in, right? Because you've amassed this massive TikTok following. You've got eyeballs on you at all the time, and Urban Fight Now have reached out and said, Soraya, we want you on our card. Yeah. We want you to fight. Yeah. So when you first got that phone call and they're like, hey, we want you on, or I imagine it probably went down on TikTok Live, right? Yeah, yeah. When they first hit you up and said, hey, we want you to fight on this card, what was your immediate reaction? Where were you? It was just like in my head at the time, it wasn't so serious. Like I was just like, yeah, I'll do it. You know what I mean? Like I didn't think like anything past that, you know what I mean? I just thought a fun TikTok fight. Like I didn't picture myself loving it so much, you know what I mean? And it becoming a part of my life. I didn't expect that. Yeah. And I think it's going to be a bit trickier for people to understand why you were so drawn to it straight away. Because for most people, the last thing that they want to do in the world is fight someone, is to go fist for fist and just trade exchanges. I mean, there's obviously maniacs out there that are into that, but for most people, and pardon my old school mentality, but particularly for girls, it's not a common thing that you see. Yeah, of course. To initially even just say yes to jump in, it's just like crazy. Yes. Yeah. So why were you so compelled to do so? Well, my whole family are boxers. Like my granddad's on the Boxing Hall of Fame. My great uncle is. Then my brother's a former professional boxer. Like everyone fights. And not only that, but I was also in New Zealand. My ex is a fighter as well. So like I lived and breathed boxing since I was little, all the way up until I come to Sydney and was just on TikTok. So it was like normal to me. Do you know what I mean? So you obviously were very exposed to those kinds of grounds of violence, and you were exposed to just the atmosphere that is a fight. I mean, if I have it correct, was it your father or your grandfather that was setting up tents around in so Queensland? It started it started with my granddad. He used to travel with the tent. So he used to travel with the tent and fight, and then he'd go and have his like pro fights, blah, blah, blah. And then it just went down in generation. Granddad, my dad, my brother, and then finally me. And so what was the tent like? What was the dynamic of the tent? What would happen? So when I was little, we used to travel with the tent all around Queensland, usually in like the Tablelands, the Northern Territory, that sort of area. And just from memory, like I just remember like sleeping in a little swag in the tent, and all the fighters would put the tent up, and the referee owned the tent. His name's Fred. And he would just get up. I'd watch them all wrap their hands, blah, blah, put their big gold robes on, and then they'd hear the drum. And then they would just all walk out. And I remember I would be sitting on the little haystack, or on the ground, waiting for them all to come in, and then they'd just punch on all night. And I'd go for like 5 nights. Wow. My brother was like this little. Like he was probably like 8 when he first started. Yeah, they used to throw a towel, because he was so young, to make money from fighting, that they used to throw a towel at the end of his fights, and people would throw money into the towel, like from the crowd, and then at the end the kids would split it. This sounds like a brilliant script for a movie. Like if you're pitching me this to Hollywood, I'd be like, oh my God, yes, I can see it. Like it's so They honest. Should actually. They should make it. Fred Brophy's tent, a movie, yeah. That would be amazing. And the characters, the fighters, like he's passed away now, Cowboy, just him alone, he was handsome. He had a cowboy hat and nothing but boxing trousers on. The women used to go mad for him. I swear. Like so many different characters, and they'd all had their names. Like Fred would name them all different names. Like my dad was the friendly mauler, because he was so happy, and he was so like, didn't look like he would want to fight, and then he would just maul them. You know what I mean? So Fred always come up with the coolest names. Yes, yes. There's so much like culture and honesty that's kind of embedded in that. So was that kind of your first time stepping into a cage or a ring? Yeah.
Yeah.
So you had plenty of opportunities then, I take it, to kind of go and fight in the tent and...
Well, when I was a kid, I used to cry to my mum and say, why can't I fight tonight? Why can't I fight? And blah, blah, blah. And my mum used to be like, you're a girl. You can't fight in the tent. Blah, blah, blah. So when I finally said to her like 2 months ago when I fought in the tent, I said, Mum, you may as well let me fight because I'm fighting in Sydney anyway.
So like for the expansion, like for the entire period of your childhood, you weren't allowed to fight?
I was not allowed to, no.
Damn.
I know, it killed me.
I can imagine.
Yeah. And it made me want it more. Maybe if I was allowed to, I probably wouldn't have wanted it so much now. So I guess that's the...
If you haven't already, please smash the subscribe button. And you might also want to check out this video right here. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.